we are going to explore two poses that cross midline. So that adds a level of complexity because that means that our right side and our left side of our brain have to talk to each other. And it is the highest level of complexity for our developmental patterns. Therefore, there are some options for us. I am using a chair so that if I need to catch my balance, or maybe I want to just have this the whole time, I have it. So let's get a chair. I'd also like you to get a yoga strap or a scarf. And I'd like you to get a yoga block. And if you don't have a yoga block, just, a couple of stiff blankets or even books or a box works. So just gather those props for yourself for this practice and meet me back here. Okay, so we're back. And we're going to start with our first pose, which is the one-legged chair pose. And this is Ekapada Utkatasana. Now, let's do the two-legged chair pose to begin. Softening the ankles. I'm going to move this out of the way so you can see. So softening the ankles, the feet breathe. Okay. Anytime we come to standing with a pose, we want to give some attention to the feet because they are our connection into our source of ground support. So I just want to wake them up a little bit. Softening the ankles. And this beautiful midline, we just pitch forward ever so slightly. And we can flow an arm up. And if you feel okay with your balance, the other one comes up. Now we don't need to hold ourselves in space. I think sometimes we think we do, but you can actually release. Let gravity take you down. Space will support you. And we move into ourselves. Can I feel my feet yield into the support of the ground? The reach and pull of my head and my tail. I can bring my hands to the midline. So these practices are all about organizing around the midline. Return back up. And returning all the way up. Now we'll move into the single leg. So take your yoga block and just put it just outside of your inside foot, because you might choose to use this block. So we soften the ankles, and you could, we'll bring it in a little bit here, you can choose to start to practice with a single leg but still connected and lifted. And so this is going to drop out. So we're looking for that external rotation, spiraling outwards, but staying really organized in the middle. You can also bring this leg up and get into a little deeper seat and bring this leg here. You could also bring the foot over, and that's increasing this position of the leg. So I really prefer right here. And there is, again, this external rotating and releasing into the support of the ground. Now you can stay with your hands on the chair for a little extra support and just practice this, or we could reach those arms out and feeling the reach of the tail in opposition of the fingers. Softening. Moving into the support of not only the ground, but the space around you. Bring the hands together, organizing around center. Everything's about that center. If we don't know where center is, it's very hard for our limbs to figure out what they're supposed to do. Let the arms open. Bring yourself up and release that leg. Beautiful. Now let's move into Garudasana on this side, which is our eagle pose. So again, we can use the block. We can cross the leg over. Now in eagle pose, we're not letting the leg externally rotate. We're actually bringing it to center. So this could be our practice. You can also just take the leg across. And some people like to swing their foot around the back and kind of hook those toes. So finding what works for you. I think I'm pretty interested in seeing what this feels like because I'm finding that I can release. And connecting inner thighs. Now the arms, you could simply hug. So I'll bring my right over my left because I have my right crossed over. It's going to look like my left to you. And I can simply do this. So this could be my beautiful eagle pose. And then let's come out of this because that is really, you feel it. Now, before we go back into it, I want you to explore with your yoga strap. So I took my right over my left. I'm gonna do the same thing. And whatever arm goes on top, I want you to hold the yoga strap in that hand. So that arm is gonna go on top, okay? And this arm is gonna reach around and grab, okay? And that doesn't need to be pretty. And it's just so that you can get both hands onto the yoga strap. So now, here we are with the elbows crossed, little bit beyond a hug, but still with support. My arms are organizing around the center here. And I'm going to take my leg and I'm going to cross it over and find that block. And I move into my eagle pose. Everything organizing around center. And your gaze can go softly forwards. Moving deeper into your pose. Softening, let your breath breathe, and then releasing. And releasing the yoga strap, you just reach the arms out, feel your wingspan, and returning down. Now let's explore all of this on the other side. So, the first exercise we're going to do is very organizing. It kind of brings us back, lets us unwind, and that is our beautiful chair pose or Utkatasana. So it moves us out of the way. So my heels line up with my sits bones. Softening. Feeling the support of the ground. Feeling gravity. And then also space. So there's this relationship. And flowing the arms up, and always know you have your chair there. So if you'd like to hold and find balance, it's there for you. Softening. Moving inwards. Feeling free to make little movements to bring more sensory information in, more awareness. If you notice you're holding anything, let it soften and release. Hands together. Bring them down to your heart. Flow back up. Little yield and push to come to Tadasana. Now we'll move into our Ekapada Utkatasana, our one-legged chair pose. And we can use our block, softening, crossover. So this would be the first movement we could do, with the understanding that we want this leg to drop out. We want it to find that external rotation. So your foot could be here. You can also bring the leg up. And you could also bring it further up with the foot right on the thigh. And just like the other side, I'm going to cross ankle over thigh. Find that awareness of my midline with this externally rotating out. Float my arms. Softening. Let your breath breathe. Use your chair if you need to. Bring the hands together. Draw down to heart center. And back up. Oh, and release everything down. Beautiful. Now we move into Garudasana, our eagle pose. So we use the block. You can cross over. You can cross at the thighs. And then there's also that extra little wrap of the toes. I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other side. I'm finding it very interesting to explore using this block. My legs come in towards midline, and I can wrap my arms like a hug. So now it's going to be my left arm coming over, except for you, it's going to look like my right. Softening. So the tail reaches free, organizing the legs around the midline, soft reach of the head. This is a little bit more challenging for me on this side. I'm not as organized. It's not a judgment. I'm just noticing. And then just releasing. Now we'll go into that one more time, and we can use the yoga strap. That was a nice noise for you, wasn't it? And before we do, I'm just going to show you, because I did it on the other side, the full movement of the arms can not only cross the elbows, but the hands can wrap. So you come here. And so now that's a double wrap crossing over midline. And for some of us, that works beautifully. And for some of us, it doesn't feel wonderful. And that's why we can either hug or we use the yoga strap. Using the yoga strap, I'm going to hold in the hand of the arm that's crossing over the top. And then I can kind of shimmy over. And again, it does not need to be pretty to get into it. And here I am. It's getting a little organized. When do you do this with your arms? So I'm going downwards, feeling my midline. And then I'm adding the cross of my lower body. And I'm going to need to look down to see where that block is. And then I bring my legs towards midline. Softening into this. Letting your breath breathe. This beautiful eagle perched in your tree, effortless, regal, quiet. And then releasing. And releasing that yoga strap. Since we have our chair here, let's turn to our chair. It's very nice after doing asanas or any movement that is a lot of crossing over midline, really nice to bring it back to, the fancy word is homologous, to an earlier developmental pattern that is a little bit more direct. So just stepping the feet back, just finding this long spine. Take a few breaths here. You can even take your hands down the chair, and you're never stuck anywhere. So I'm going to move in a little bit. Maybe you'd like to as well, and take your hands down the chair. Maybe you'd like to move in a little bit more and take your hands down the chair. And look at where we're going. But we have this support. And then maybe all the way down. Let the knees bend, let the head release, or maybe not. Maybe you want to be a little higher up. And then here we go. Push of the feet, walk those hands back up the chair. All the way to the top, rolling upwards. Take a pause in your Tadasana. Beautiful, beautiful work.